Welcome in, everybody, to a breaking news edition here of Football 24/7 across the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, John McMullen. Not good breaking news today, John. Andrew Makuba, it's officially come down. He has fractured his ankle and will need surgery. No update yet on whether it will be season ending, but it looks like he'll be headed to IR. John, coming right to you with the information for the fan base. What is the latest with Andrew Makuba?
Yeah, rare. Just got off with Nick Sirianni, so rare confirmation, which tells you obviously surgery, injured reserve. So, obviously he's not going to put a timetable on it, but this certainly feels like likely a season-ending injury, and he'll be back. And no concern, evidently, for next season, but deep playoff run, maybe you start talking about a potential return. My assumption is if they make a deep playoff run, that whomever will replace him is playing well. So you're probably not going to want to push him back at that point anyway. So, disappointing potential ending to a good rookie season. There were some hiccups like most rookies, but I think overall Drew played pretty well. And, short term, when you start thinking about Chicago on Black Friday, Reed Blankenship, we still don't know. Just from looking what happened to him, it looks unlikely he'll be able to go. So you're talking about two potential new safeties against the Bears. Sidney Brown would obviously be one of them. And then you would think Michael Carter would move back to safety. And then you could have Cooper stay inside at the slot and have Keely Ringo or Jacorian Bennett to play outside. I think that's sort of the equation the Eagles will try to figure out. Vic Fangio will try to figure out in a short week. Not the best case scenario when you're down three starters in a game, but because it's very unlikely that Adoree Jackson, I should also mention, is going to get through the concussion protocol in a short week. So that would be three starters. But it's happened a lot all over the NFL. So it's not like the Eagles are the first team. This is, they've had this great run of injury luck and a little bit of bad luck in Dallas along with the collapse.
No doubt about it. John, just clarity on this. I don't hear often that a player is getting surgery and won't be done for the year. Is there any reason they haven't ruled him out for the year? They kind of left that open like the season's in jeopardy as opposed to he's out for the year, and he'll return. Why have they left that door open? And what do you know about that element of it?
Well, yeah, ankle breaks, if they're clean, you can have it and be back in a shorter period of time. So basically, it looks like a situation when they go in, they'll see how bad it is, and that will determine whether he can have a chance. Like if you think about the timing of the season, 8 weeks in the best case scenario, usually. So you'd be right in the end of sort of the playoffs and that. So I don't see it from that perspective because, like I said, if you're playing well, you're not going to want to put a rusty player in there if somebody's playing well in that type of situation. So I think it's very unlikely, but if it's possible, you can't just say he's out for the season. That's why it's worded like that.
Yep, there you go. Good update there. John, I know you mentioned who you think might be in there on Friday. Feels like this team is running out of safeties, my friend. Do you think they will tap into the free agent market and look for potentially a veteran player like a Justin Simmons?
Yeah, I thought we were done. I thought we were done with Justin. And here it comes. I already got that 15 times. Look, he's been on the couch all you can never say never depending on.
Man, I mean, like, who's on the team, John? Like, who can play safety on the team if Reed's out?
Well, Sydney's number one.
Sydney, Carter, and that's really it, right? Andre Sam, I think, is out there.
You also have Andre Sam who's probably going to get elevated. But I suppose it's a possibility if Vic feels he could play and is comfortable and at least can line up and and be in the right position. But, again, I don't want to go down that big name trap. You saw what happened with Jair Alexander. The Eagles could have had him if they wanted him. He was practically begging to play here. I think that's another indication that they wanted to go in a different direction. But, desperation calls for different times. But I do think people seeing the name and, it's Thanksgiving and he's not on an NFL team. So um, the hope is, and when the Eagles traded for Michael Carter, they made it very clear that backup safety was going to be part of his role. So I think those two guys, and remember that Reed Blankenship, he might not be back Friday, but he's going to be back. And then you have then things look much easier because then you could just have Sidney, and if Sidney doesn't play well, you have Michael, and if Michael doesn't play well, you have Andre. So it's not quite as bad as it looks. For Friday, it's bad, but it's not like you're going to bring in Justin Simmons tomorrow and play him on Friday. So
right. I'm sure you don't have an update on Reed at this point, right?
No, just from what we saw in the game, and he was really hobbling around, so doesn't look terribly positive on a short week. I think, hopefully after that little sort of break, you get the extra couple days. I would think that would be the best case scenario. Would be, what's the game after the Bears? The Chargers, I believe.
Yeah, Chargers.
That would be, I think, the best case scenario.
Yeah, John, some adversity here for this team. Not only a collapse yesterday in Dallas where the offense couldn't put much on the board and the defense was unable to hold on. Now you add in some of these layers, some of these wrinkles. Lane Johnson, I presume, will not return for the next couple of weeks. We'll see when he's able to be back. Now Andrew Makuba, I'm mentally going to write him off for the year. I know they didn't say that yet. Reed injured a little bit. Some adversity here, John McMullen. How big of an impact do you think it will make?
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, if you're down 3 starters, then I think it's likely they're going to be down 2, and more likely they're going to be down 3 against Chicago, which is a pretty good offense, at least maybe similar to the Eagles, a little bit unconventional because they have a lot of quarterback run game that inflates their offensive statistics, but they have good receivers, and we saw what good receivers can do.
Yeah.
With George Pickens. They're not quite George Pickens or the year George Pickens is having, but DJ Moore is a very good player. Adunze is a very good player. So they have good receivers. They have good tight ends.
Decent backs too. They got 2 of those backs. Mungia, I think his name is, and Swift.
Yeah, sort of a mini Sonic and
yeah, right.
But not quite.
Yeah, and they're the team who's Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah, exactly. They're the team who's Sonic and Knuckles. But similar, Mananga is sort of the big physical back, and Swift, as people know, is pretty good as a receiver out of the backfield. One of the reasons he didn't want to come back is because he didn't think they utilized him well in the passing game. So he can do that. He's got some juice as well. Pretty good back for DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift is so. Yeah, it's a good offense, but I do think the quarterback is inconsistent, and that will limit some of the danger. You're not going to have. I don't think you're going to have the high volume stuff you had with Dallas, who's got a more consistent thrower of the football.
Yeah, no doubt about it, John. I will get you to just for the new people checking in, John. So you said it at the open, but I'm going to have you reiterate it. What is your expectation now for the starters on Friday? Because you're probably not going to have a Dory. Let's just assume for the sake of this, we're not going to have Reed. I don't know yet on Reed. Makuba is obviously out. You have Michael Carter. You have Andre Sam. You have Sidney Brown. Will Cooper move? What do you think in that secondary on Friday? Just to reiterate, John.
Well, the one hope is if Reed plays, it's much more clear. And
right.
Then it would be Reed and Sidney at safety, and you would just kind of depending on what you want to do. What they did when Adoree Jackson left in Dallas was they put Cooper outside and they put Michael Carter in the slot. They could do that, or because of some of the issues that Cooper had against George Pickens, they might keep him in the slot and play either Keely Ringo or Jacorian Bennett outside. So a lot of ways you can go. The Eagles do have enough bodies. The question is, are they effective bodies when they get in? But my guess, if all three are out, and that's Reed, Adoree, and Makuba is out, if all three of them are out, you're probably going to see Sidney Brown and Michael Carter at safety. And then Cooper will stay in the slot, and Vic will decide between Keely Ringo and Jacorian Bennett outside opposite Quinyon Mitchell is my presumption of what they would do.
Sidney Brown and Michael Carter. John, you still feel good about the Eagles winning that game on Friday?
Yeah, I do. I just don't believe in Chicago.
I know, I can tell.
I don't believe in their consistency, and I think Vic is going to give Caleb Williams some headaches with the front seven stuff. I think he's going to give him some looks that he's not familiar with, and maybe have a couple turnovers, and that helps.
John, real quick, I think this injury with Makuba, he was a victim of friendly fire, wasn't he? Here, didn't Sidney Brown run into him on the play he was injured?
Well, he was injured on the Pickens play, so I was more focused on the pick. Early, which was Michael Carter kind of taking out Quinyon Mitchell in the coverage. And then he was trying. I didn't really see. I haven't looked back. I still have to look back.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I don't think it was Sidney's fault here. I mean, some people said he's aggressive and that's what happened. I'm looking at the play now. He's tackling George, and Makuba kind of runs through him. You'll see the video if you go and look for it, John. I don't think it's Sidney's fault, but it is.
There's nothing wrong with a defensive player that's aggressive.
Yeah, I agree.
And especially when making a tackle. So I'm not gonna blame Sidney Brown. It happens. It's just like when offensive linemen get rolled up. It's part of playing football. It's a violent game.
Yep. John, final question for you, brother. If this is the end of Makuba's rookie year, pretty good pick. I mean, pretty good rookie year. Not great, not overall, but I mean, it's for a 64th overall player taken, back to that second round, started most of his games as a rookie. I think he showed enough to be optimistic about the future on Andrew Makuba.
Yeah, definitely. I think he was, as advertised when the Eagles drafted him. Some of the things they liked and they talked about was his comfort in space. He didn't panic in space, which is a big thing with safeties because they tend to panic, especially younger safeties. And I think that was borne out. Undersized was borne out as well. Sometimes had trouble tackling. And Vic would mention, he's got to eliminate some of the negative plays, but I thought it was mostly positive. But one of the things we talked about, can he hold up? And, he's not going to reach the end of his rookie season. Couple smaller injuries earlier. So those concerns still exist, I would say, especially because he does play a little bit more physical than his size would indicate. But as far as coverage, I thought it was pretty positive all around.
Yep, John, good stuff, man. Appreciate you checking in. Real quick, somebody just reminded me in the chat. John, don't we have Marcus Epps?
Yeah, Marcus is on the practice squad, I believe. I have to double check if they moved him to the practice squad. I got my roster right here. But, yeah, he's still around. I do not think Marcus will be playing.
You're not thinking you think Andre Sam would come before Marcus.
Yeah. And Marcus actually, they moved him to injured reserve, so he's on injured reserve. So he's still around, but yeah, Michael Carter, specifically when they traded for Michael Carter, they made it very clear that, and they even used the term Avonte Maddox. They see him as that dual role backup slot, backup safety. So that's one of the reasons they brought him in. And one of the reasons they shifted Marcus Epps to injured reserve because
right.
I don't know if that's a real injury, if you get my drift.
Yes, I do get your drift. So he won't be available this week anyway. John, good stuff, brother. Appreciate you doing it on a quick one, and we'll talk to you in the morning on Birds 365. Thank you, my friend.
All right. Thanks, all.
All right, thanks, J-Mac. There's Johnny Mac. John McMullen joining me right here on a special football 24/7 edition. Andrew Makuba is out. All right. It looks like season-ending surgery. They have not called it that. They said his season is in jeopardy. But we will see. You hear a surgery like this at week 12. It doesn't feel like he would come back for this team. But we will see what ends up happening with it. Definitely a tough break for this Eagles team. And you look at, some of the injuries now piling up on this team. And, I hate to say this, but this defense is not going to be able to hold it like this anymore, man. We are not going to be able to have the defense overcome everything on offense for the remainder of the year. This offense is going to have to do its job in a big way. They're going to have to take some of the, take some of that burden off the defense because they're too banged up. They had a good game yesterday versus the Dallas Cowboys, and they ended up falling apart in the way that they approached. And the offense didn't move the ball after the first 3 drives, and the defense eventually buckled. They gave up 350 yards in the second half. So I don't think you can sit here and just assume that this defense is going to bail this offense out at every moment. Now you got injuries piling up. You're potentially going to have 3 guys in the secondary who are gone on Friday. You have, some injuries as well up front, or at least some people banged up more. Jomo went down a little bit yesterday. Now I know he came back. There's no long-term concern there, but this offense, man, is going to need to do something. I don't care who the hell you want to put it on either, by the way. I see DeWood saying, do I believe in the coaches? DeWood, I don't give a shit who you believe in or who not to believe in. At this point, DeWood, we just need answers, dog. We just need more production, my friend. All right? That's what we need, bro. I don't know who it is, man. You want to blame the Patullo? You want to blame? I don't know. All right? We just need the offense to be better. This is unfortunate news here. I do think Andrew had a good rookie year. If this is the end for him for this season, I do think he had a good rookie year, and I'm hopeful that he comes back stronger. And we will see some adversity here, folks. Some major adversity for this Eagles team. Let's see how they handle it. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I got to get back to the production role on the National Football Show with Dan Cilio. I just wanted to give you guys the update here. Hit that like button on your way out. Thanks for being here, everybody. And I'll see you next time.